Welcome to the Ringer Fantasy Football Show. My name is Danny Heifetz. I am joined by Danny Kelly and Craig Horlbeck. And if you have been listening to the Ringer NFL Draft Show and been like, I wonder what these guys talk about when the draft ends, then welcome aboard. Craig, what should they be in store for?
Well, it's the Ringer Fantasy Football Show now. The title of the show is different. The art is different. For 2/3 of the year, we are the Ringer Fantasy Football Show. And for a third, we cover the draft. So if you joined us on the draft, thank you. Welcome. Thanks for sticking around. We're back. And for the entire offseason, through the entire summer, we're going to be going hard on fantasy football, our favorite subject. So don't touch that dial.
And speaking of hard, we're going to get into our hard-hitting player analysis, which is which players from the draft are high in T. That's really what we're trying to get into.
High T.
They're high T guys. No, really. But kind of. I'm kidding, but not really. We're going to explain that in a moment. But first, as we get through the rookie landing spot vibes, first, I do want to just mention the Cowboys, little news here. The Cowboys signed Ezekiel Elliott.
Sure.
What year is it? Number one. Two, the Cowboys tipped their hand because they literally said Jerry Jones said they wanted to draft Jonathan Brooks on Friday. DK, that was the real there. Like, tell us about the war grandpa. Was Jerry Jones sitting there being like,
okay,
this
grandpa,
kid we drafted,
let's get you to bed.
Yeah. This kid we drafted, Jonathan Brooks, incredible. And they're like, we haven't drafted him yet, Dad. Like,
we got him high on our board.
So now
take away his mic. Cut the mic.
So now the Cowboys depth chart at running back, they have Ezekiel Elliott, they have Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn, and Royce Freeman.
What's funny too is I think Rico Dowdle is like one of the tallest running backs in the league. And then you have Deuce Vaughn, who's like definitely the shortest running back in the league.
Is Dowdle that tall? I feel like he's normal.
Oh, I guess he's 5'11". But maybe you know why? It's because I've seen him next to Deuce Vaughn. That's right. I got confused.
Yeah, he does look like the tallest running back in the NFL.
It's the 5-inch difference.
It's like anyone next to Victor Wembanyama just looks 5'2".
Oh my God, yeah, they all look like 8th graders next to him. But so I just wanted to note that the Cowboys signing Zeke. I've never seen anything like this because the Cowboys still have dead money from the last time they cut Zeke Elliott. So they actually have like $6 million of dead cap this year from cutting him a year ago, and now he's back on the team. I've never seen anything like it in my life. So
it's like when you break up with somebody and like you move out of their apartment and you get back together and you just they still have the apartment. You just move right back in.
They still have all your stuff. So you just you never went and got it.
It's so convenient.
So you just get his old locker?
It's a good question. I don't. Zeke Elliott led the Patriots in catches last year. That's fun.
Zeke was actually kind of fine for the Patriots last year.
Yeah,
he's got some gas in the tank.
Ian Hartitz had a tweet about like the fastest old running backs last year, like on a particular run, like who reached the highest speed, and it was like Zeke versus Austin Eckler and kind of a bunch of old guys. Zeke was the fastest. He reached like 21 miles an hour last year at his peak speed.
Still got it.
He's only 28. He's 2 years younger than Derrick Henry.
Zoom, Grandpa. All right. So we'll figure out what that means. But we're going to get into the rookie vibes for all these landing spots. I kind of want to just, we've been raring to go here with all these rookies. We finally have teams, and we kind of want to roll through what these guys mean for the season, what these guys mean for fantasy. And we really want to do it through which guys got high T, which is half a joke, but also half not really. Because there's like, you honestly can just kind of like figure out everything you want to know about a fantasy game with T, with like team, talent, touches, and time, and then obviously
testosterone.
Yeah, testosterone, and not in that order either. Obviously, what?
But yeah, this is like our composite metric to figure out, like, essentially give them a score and determine how successful will they be in their rookie season based on their fit, their talent, how much they'll be on the field.
So just looking at last year's draft, just as purpose, because Craig, as you said to me the other day, like we kind of all just have amnesia and nobody remembers what happened the previous season. You know how I know that's true, by the way? Do you guys play Immaculate Grid?
No, I have.
The cheat code for Immaculate Grid is typing in like new players. Like nobody knows who the new players are. Like if you type in the second baseman for like the Milwaukee Brewers today, it will be like 0.1% of people got it. But everyone knows that like CC Sabathia played baseball for the Yankees.
Right. Yeah.
And so just we're going to give you a little amnesia check in on that happened but we started quarterback here. Last year, Anthony Richardson was just an absolute world destroyer for like 3 games, and then he got hurt, but he had 18 points in like under 18 minutes at one point. And then Stroud for the middle 2 months was like this top 5 quarterback. And then Bryce Young, horrible. And let's be real. What kind of T is Bryce Young dealing with? 5'10".
That's tough. That's a tough beat for Bryce. Have you guys heard that thing about how if you're bald but you have a beard, that means you have higher T than if you have a lot of hair on your head but no beard? which is me and Heifetz.
I have heard that. Yeah,
That makes sense.
It's one way in which I cope.
Yeah, that feels like a myth invented by the bald man. But we'll
no, I don't think so. Scientific. Maybe you should do some research, Craig. Just think.
I'll look into that.
There was this survey on dick size by country, and it was a French study, and the French found that the French had the biggest dicks. It was like, okay, see if we can recreate that one.
Yeah, the United Bald Men of the World did this study, and turns out the guys who are bald are the best at sex.
Yeah. I found the study. David Tepper conducted it.
Oh my God. All right. So DK, start us off here. Caleb Williams goes number 1 to the Bears.
Yeah.
For fantasy.
What is his T?
This is, dude. Caleb,
Am I supposed to? Was I supposed to come up with the actual number?
No,
because I may have misunderstood.
17. I don't know. It's 5.
Yeah.
It's an arbitrary number.
Give us a number.
Yeah.
What do you
We
think
don't
the
even
scale
know
is?
the scale, right? It's just like the Richter thing.
It's
all
out of
right.
1600.
So let's start with the T for team. For a first overall pick, the team vibes are actually incredible. This is maybe one of the better first overall pick situations that a quarterback has gone into.
I think it's like the best ever, maybe.
I'm
I'm trying to remember, like, first overall. Yeah, this is very rare what he's landing in, which I love because he's a very rare prospect, and this just gives him a good chance of succeeding in the NFL. The defense is ascending, like as we saw over the second half of last year. Like, this was a pretty good defensive squad, and then offensively having DJ Moore, they traded for Keenan Allen, they signed DeAndre Swift. They already have a couple other good running backs. They have Cole Kmet, who's a solid sort of middle of the field guy. They signed Gerald Everett, who's good at run after the catch. They have a lot of guys here that will help take the pressure off of Caleb Williams in terms of just feeling like he has to carry the team on his back on every single play. And so I think that's a huge benefit. I mean, this is potentially very huge for Caleb Williams because especially when you compare to the landing spots for a couple other quarterbacks in this class.
How much is the one thing I question with Caleb is like his talent's there, the supporting cast is great, timeline, like he's going to start day one, touches, like he's going to have the ball a ton, he's probably going to run a lot, but that's where I wanted to focus on is the running. DK,
yeah,
that is like often the cheat code with rookie quarterbacks is like unless it's the Strouds of the world are rare, right? It's like the Herberts. It's like pretty rare when somebody just comes in and lights the world on fire and is immediately like a top 10 quarterback in fantasy, but there's been a lot of quarterbacks who, and we'll get to this when we do Jayden Daniels next, but like come into the league and because they can run, they're kind of immediately fantasy relevant. How much do you actually think Caleb Williams is going to run this year?
I think he's going to run a decent amount. He's a really good runner. He's, I think, underrated in that sense. I saw somebody say this and I didn't scoff completely, but somebody, and I apologize, I can't remember who said it. It was basically he could play running back if he wanted to. He is a good athlete as a runner. And that's where I see his athleticism and like versatility really highlighted because he's making guys miss as a scrambler. When he gets out in space, he's juking away from would-be tacklers. He's like spinning away. He's very elusive and very creative as a runner. I don't think he's going to be a big time, he's not going to rush for 1,000 yards, but I could see 300, 400 yards potentially.
That's still kind of low though.
That's what Trevor Lawrence got last year. That's 3 to 4 points for fantasy every week on average, especially if he scores a few touchdowns. Like, I'm not saying he's not going to be an elite runner, probably.
Because I don't think of Jayden Daniels. When I think of Trevor Lawrence, I don't think of a running quarterback. Like you're saying you don't think Caleb is going to be in like the Josh Allen, Kyler, Russell Wilson rookie season. You don't even think he's there?
Probably not. I don't think they're going to be using him on like read options and stuff like that very often.
Well, the first play of Caleb Williams' career, like when they benched Spencer Rattler at Oklahoma, he ran for like a 70-yard touchdown immediately on the first play. And
right.
I don't know. I kind of wonder about that. Obviously, the NFL's better defenses than, whatever random Texas. I forget what game he came in for. But I do wonder about Caleb and Jayden Daniels, honestly, getting to the next level. And I do think Caleb, what makes him special is the ability to move while keeping his eyes downfield. But in the beginning, I'm not going to lie. So, spoiler alert, we're doing our rankings for fantasyfootball.300.com. We're going to have those live later this week. Our top 200 will be at fantasyfootball.300.com. We'll talk about that more this week and next. But, dude, I have Caleb and Jayden in my top 10 quarterbacks for fantasy this year in redraft.
Top 10?
Yes. Ooh. Yes, I do. And I can explain why. But the short answer is, I'm not going to lie. I kind of think Caleb runs for like 8 touchdowns this year. And I kind of think that Jayden Daniels runs for like 1,000 yards. And I just, the long story short is there's like, I don't know, 15 pocket passers that you can just get that are wildly good. That could be your normal stable quarterback. But then I look at Caleb and also Jayden Daniels for Washington, who went number 2. And I look at how many quarterbacks can run for 1,000 yards. I think there's like 4 or 5, and Jayden Daniels is one of them.
Right. Yeah, look, let's get to Jayden then, because so if we run through his T score, his team, I would say the landing spot is pretty mediocre. I don't think it's anything that great. New head coach, new offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury. His talent, a lot of people are vary about how good he is as an overall player, but he's certainly a very, very talented runner, and that's more important for fantasy.
He sure is fast.
He's going to start day 1. But I went back, and so I looked at all the rookie seasons of like a lot of these dual threat quarterbacks, like RG3, Cam Newton, Lamar, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. So last year, Jayden Daniels, last 2 years in college, he ran for 77 yards per game, 12 rushes a game, which is a decent clip. You don't really see that a lot in the NFL. I went and looked at all these rookie guys, their first seasons. Nobody rushed more than 7 times a game except Lamar. And it was really Lamar's second season because he didn't really play that much in the first season. It was really the second half of his first season, I should say, because he started only 7 games. But in that stretch, Lamar ran 13 times a game, and he was the QB9 over that stretch. All the other guys, Josh Allen, 7 times a game, RG3, 8 times a game, Cam Newton, 8 times a game. Do you think Jayden Daniels, DK, could actually run at like a Lamar-level clip of like 10, 12 rushes per game?
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, I would say
because he would need to be there to be top 10, in my opinion.
10 is doable potentially, and when I say running, that includes scrambling because he scrambles a lot.
I think it mostly scrambles. Like Lamar has design runs. I think Jayden is closer to RG3, if not like even RG3 is design runs as well. I think Jayden's almost going back to Michael Vick, where it's like all like 80% of it's just total recess after the block, not necessarily anything designed.
I bet it'd be more like 6 or 7. A game, closer to that than 13. I don't know.
Top 10's high, but I like him as top 15 because when I looked at all these guys in their rookie seasons, the numbers are pretty staggering. How high the floor is for these dudes.
That's we're gonna get into it, but that's why it's
the lowest points per game any of these guys scored. All the names I just listed: RG3, Cam, Lamar, Josh Allen, Kyler, Justin Fields. The lowest of all of their rookie seasons was 17 fantasy points per game, which would have basically been the QB 12 to 15 last year. All those guys scored 17 points per game. So the worst case scenario, if you base this on the past 7 dual threat quarterbacks, the worst case scenario is like QB 15. If you go on the high end, the ceiling, Cam Newton's rookie season would have made him the QB 1 last year in fantasy. RG3's rookie season would have made him the QB 2 last year in fantasy. So
that's why I have him that high.
I do agree with you. The upside is there, but I don't know. From a talent perspective, do we feel the same way about this guy as we did like somebody like Cam Newton? I don't know.
Heifetz, where did you have him? You had him at 10?
I have them top 10.
Top 10?
I just looked at mine. Yeah,
I have Jayden like 8th or 9th. And here's, well, I mean, I don't know if we want to do this, but I would say the short answer is here's why. Who do you have ahead? Like, who do you have ahead of Jayden Daniels? Because when I look at guys like, even guys who are really good, like Tua for Miami, or like, I mean, even
I've
if you
got
look
Tua way further down.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
Man, throw it. The point is, you throw a dart, you hit a pocket passer. Dak Prescott for Dallas, C.J. Stroud for the Texans, Joe Burrow for Houston. I just got Joe Burrow for Houston. Joe Burrow for Cincinnati, obviously. Like Stafford for the Rams, who was quietly one of the 4 or 5 best real life quarterbacks last year. Like all these, like Deshaun Watson on the Browns. Like he's an upside guy, but you look around and there are so many pocket passers just around. Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers is what, like the 20th quarterback? What is the case for them to be a top 2 fantasy quarterback? They have to either come close to leading the league in yards or touchdowns. They have to be one of the best quarterbacks in the world. Jayden Daniels being a top 2 quarterback in fantasy, all he really needs to do is Washington has RPOs in their offense and he doesn't get hurt and it's in play. And so I look at it as more supply and demand of how many guys actually have a path to top 2. And I'm willing to fail because I can throw a rock and hit Tua. Like I can just get Tua. Like it's not even hard.
All right, stop throwing stuff at Tua. All right.
I probably shouldn't throw anything at him.
I mean, I think you're actually right. It's a little bold to do that, but yeah, shoot for the upside.
It's a Ricky Bobby thing. It's like I'd rather crash out and come in 8th place than but I want So
I mean, spoiler, I've got Anthony Richardson really high. I've got Kyler really high.
I have, yes. That's
all the same
reasons.
Yeah.
If basically my fantasy rankings are Mahomes and then 6 guys that think it's rush for 10 touchdowns and run 1,000 yards, and if you can't do that, I'm not taking you. Anyway, all right. So and then on that note, relatedly, I feel like Drake May and JJ McCarthy and Michael Penix probably not doing those things, and for fantasy for this year, probably not really into them that much. For redraft.
I don't. Even in 2 quarterback leagues, I don't know how much either. Yeah. I mean, maybe JJ McCarthy could recreate a Brock Purdy level kind of season of efficiency. He's got Justin Jefferson and KJ Osborne. I mean, sorry, not KJ Osborne, Jordan Addison. KJ Osborne's in New England.
Yeah, but unfortunately.
He's got a great team around him with a solid offensive line, a good play caller. Like, could he be, Kirk Cousins, when he played before he got hurt, led the league in passing attempts per game. I doubt they're going to do that with JJ McCarthy, and who knows if he even starts. But yeah, it's like these guys are probably not being drafted. Definitely not in redraft. Standard, maybe 2 quarterback leagues, like fringe, but they're not really worth talking about.
Agreed. The only thing I want to mention, just because it's weird, and again, in Superflex Dynasty, if you guys do Dynasty drafts, I like all these quarterbacks, honestly. Even Penix, I don't mind. But I will just say for Penix for redraft, the only thing I want to flag, this isn't really fantasy related, but what's weird is I go through this again, high T. Penix is high in T. You got to be high in T to have all those recoveries from injuries. I think the T gets higher every time. But the Falcons being the team, the talent, I think Penix is talented, maybe not talented enough, but the touches, you're like, oh, touches timeline, when's he going to play? I think what's really weird is that, unlike everyone else, Penix is going to start as the starter in OTAs in May and then minicamp in June. Penix is the quarterback and Kirk Cousins is recovering, which is a really weird dynamic and not usually how it goes. Like when Aaron Rodgers lets Jordan Love do minicamp, it's because Rodgers knows he's the starter and doesn't give a shit. But like Penix is going to be the guy. Then Kirk Cousins has to come back training camp. Probably still going to need a week. Penix is probably going to have 4, 5, 6 days of training camp. Then Kirk Cousins comes back. Guess what? He has a tremendous amount of pressure to play well in the beginning of training camp, because if Kirk Cousins has 3 or 4 bad practices to start, the player's going to start whispering. And I just wanted to mention that as like, I'm not saying Penix for fantasy is someone I'd add. I wouldn't draft him, but in real life, I honestly feel bad for Kirk because I can't remember a player coming back from injury like this that actually has so much pressure on him after signing a big deal. It's really odd dynamic.
Can I throw out something here that I think is interesting that I don't know if I realized this until just now, but Craig, you were mentioning Drake May and running. I think he's a better runner than most people give him credit for. Do you know that over the last 2 years, Drake May, 296 rush attempts. Last 2 years, Jayden Daniels, 321 rush attempts. So almost identical. Obviously, Jayden Daniels had way more yards because he's more explosive. But I mean, my point is basically Drake May runs a little bit. I think he could be sneaky. Not like a high end runner, but dual threat guy who scores a lot of touchdowns.
He also is willing to do dumb shit. Drake May is. Like, remember when Josh
He's got
Allen?
A little Josh Allen in him.
Yeah, Josh Allen's like 3rd game, he like jumped over Anthony Barr, who was a Pro Bowl linebacker at the time, and he just cleared him, and everyone's like, "Oh shit!" Like Drake May does dumb shit in a cool way, though.
But do you think Josh Allen knew it was Anthony Barr? Like in the moment, like this is Pro Bowler Anthony Barr. I feel like in the moment you're just like, this is a guy in a helmet.
He's a golden retriever.
Yeah.
Like I think Josh Allen. I'm not gonna lie.
You're not thinking. You're just reacting. Yeah.
Keon Coleman in a moment, but I think Keon Coleman and Josh Allen are both kind of 9-year-olds with like incredible bodies that like 13 going on 30, but for like grown men.
Do you guys think if you're Kirk in this situation? I kind of think Kirk, if I'm Kirk and I'm afraid of Michael Penix like stealing my thunder in the offseason and training camp. If I'm Kirk, I'm there every day on crutches. Like I'm in Michael Penix's pocket. And like I'm standing behind him on every throw. I'm throwing little comments at him. I'm making sure the players know that I'm the alpha. Like I'm not at home rehabbing. I am there.
You will not make the shot.
Nancy Kerrigan action.
Yeah,
maybe?
yeah.
Take those. Accidentally hit him in the knees with your crutches.
That would be. If they both Tanya Harding, they're both hurt. You know what's so funny is who's the 3rd string quarterback? Like the best take is like whoever the Falcons' 3rd stringer is going to end up playing for this team.
That's a good question. Who is it?
They traded Desmond Ridder.
They should have drafted a quarterback with their 2nd round pick.
Taylor Heineke.
Still Heineke? Heineke's still in there.
Heineke's still there.
Oh, no.
He's too good for 3rd string. Heineke.
Yeah, that's what all the players are saying.
So then if Heineke plays, I wonder if they'll be like, this is great because now we have 2 backup quarterbacks and we'll be good for the next.
Yeah, we're set for the
years.
Next 10 years.
Dude,
It's
it's actually better if Heineke plays because then we have Kirk and Penix healthy whenever we need them later.
Yeah, it's so. so great that Kirk Cousins and Penix are on the bench. Get it till 2030. All right, running back. Weird year. So looking at, again, just to remind people with amnesia what happened in 2023. I don't know how often you get as opposite quarterback or running back classes in back-to-back years as 2023, which will probably be the last one with multiple running backs in the first round for quite some time. You have Bijan Robinson with the Falcons and Jahmyr Gibbs the Lions. Bijan obviously was infuriating with Arthur Smith in Atlanta, barely played, was just otherworldly when he did play. And then Bijan, the head coach had his own issues to got to work out with his dad and stuff. So I don't know, whatever happened there, but he didn't want to play Bijan Robinson. Then Detroit, Jahmyr Gibbs didn't play for the first 5 weeks, barely. Jahmyr Gibbs was the 35th running back for the first 5 weeks. And then after being the 35th best running back, after week 5, he was just the 5th best running back, period. So that was like night and day. And then also you have at running back, you had Devon Achane, who I swear to God was like the fantasy football Bo Jackson. Like it was like this short time period, and Devon Achane was incredible. Otherwise, I'm going
to tell my children about those 3 weeks with Devon Achane.
Yeah,
he played 11 games. All right.
Yeah, but those 3 weeks were something special. They were different.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Otherwise, it's like Zach Charbonnet and stuff. People were kind of wild. So then looking at this
year, Charbonnet, what did he do?
Nothing. It's kind of my point. There's a bunch of Zach Charbonnet. Like Henry Miller did nothing for the Saints. Like Tajay Spears. Honestly, Chase Brown for the Bengals is probably the 3rd or 4th best. Like he was pretty fun for a couple weeks. But then you have this class where the best running back and the first running back taken is Jonathan Brooks out of Texas, who has a torn ACL going to the Panthers. So if you look at the T for team, horrific. I guess it's good because there's not much competition. You have Miles Sanders from 2 regimes ago. Last regime who's like going to get cut if they didn't owe money. Chuba Hubbard's from 2 regimes ago. Matt Rule drafted freaking Chuba Hubbard. But like, otherwise,
Matt Rule's wife drafted him.
Matt Rule's wife drafted Chuba Hubbard. That's true. She was like, hey,
she told Matt Rule that she liked this Chuba guy.
She's like, Chuba's a funny name. It's like how my mom fills out a March Madness bracket. She's like, Iona, that's fun. And then they win.
Did I ever tell you guys about my March Madness bracket with my mom?
No.
So I was a bookie in high school, and the junior year.
That's just so classic you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had a lot of money on the line that I was responsible for. It was like $1,700, which when you're like in 11th grade, it's like an incomprehensible amount of money.
That is a lot.
And like just a crazy amount of cash to have on you. And I had 2 problems. My mom won the bracket. And I also lost the money because I hit it.
You lost the money?
Well, I hit it, and I hit it so well I forgot where I put it.
Oh my God.
And so I had these 2 problems, and I was like, this is a horrible problem. My mom very wisely was like, I think you're going to go to prison if you, my mom was like, you're going to kick
You're
out of
the
school
worst criminal I've ever seen.
So she was like, I cannot give my mom the winning bracket. So I kind of had to eat it. But dude,
so is the money just out there still somewhere?
No, I found it, but before the tournament, but for like 2 weeks, like between the Sweet 16 and the Final Four, I was like, uh-oh. But then I had to deal with then after I found it, my mom won the fucking bracket.
Wow.
Because she
nice
picked,
work.
I forget.
Would she have broken your ankles if you didn't deliver the money in time? Think she would have gotten physical?
No, I had already sprained my ankles on my own because I went up against the starting point guard of the basketball team in gym, and he immediately crossed me over and I sprained my ankle in gym. Anyway,
there's so much to the story.
Heifetz sent me a video of who was it on the Knicks, and you were like, "This is how I imagine I play basketball." There was like Josh Hart.
It was Josh Hart stealing an inbound and then just immediately like going up, like ripping the inbound from Tyrese Maxey and putting it up for a layup. And I'm like, that's how I think I play basketball in my mind. Like,
when in reality, it's like Philip Seymour Hoffman from Along Came Polly.
Raindrops. White chocolate. Let it rain.
I've described my game as I'm Patrick Beverly and Glenn Davis's body.
Dude, Philip Seymour Hoffman's basketball scene is truly an all-timer. I feel like he has game because he's able to brick it so hard. You know what I mean? Like his bricks are truly special.
You know, Van Lathan, friend of the Ringer, tweeted that he's like, you can actually tell by the way Hoffman shoots in that scene that he's actually good at basketball.
Yeah. He like winds up his body.
He like looks weirdly coordinated. He looks like a guy who can shoot pretending that he can't. And it actually, I get it. I never thought that until I rewatched it, that clip that he posted. I was like, holy shit, Hoffman kind of has a shot.
Raindrops. the greatest thing of all time.
I'm a little dubious about Jonathan Brooks of the Panthers. Also, tore his ACL. So just to summarize here, we're expecting Jonathan Brooks to be back in July 1st, sure, from a torn ACL. We like guys the year after. We're expecting a guy not only to recover from a torn ACL, but then to also adjust to the NFL on what was the worst team in the NFL last year. Not very excited for Jonathan Brooks 2024, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, you just have to kind of wait. You have to be patient with Brooks, I think.
But is he still the top rookie running back you would draft this year?
Yeah, I feel like
probably just because of the volume potential.
Who else has true like 3 down? Like I guess, man. It's weird
Every
because
other
you kind of
one
like have to slog through September. Like I just think the odds of him being because then he has to get back to practicing. He's 3 down back. Like he seems like a late league winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at second half of the year he'll probably be good, but first half it's gonna be tough. I feel like all the rookie running backs in this class are pretty much injury contingent players. You know what I mean? Like if an injury happens, then maybe I could see
DK, you love
good.
Trey Benson a lot.
Yeah, Trey Benson was my running back throughout this whole process. I just really like him. Extremely explosive player. Right, he got drafted the first or second pick of the third round, so early third rounder.
First pick of the first round.
Extremely explosive runner. He broke a ton of tackles. In fact, among Power 5 running backs, this is from Scott Barrett. Power 5 running backs over the past decade, he was number 1 in career missed tackles forced per carry according to PFF. So he's breaking tackles all over the place. He's extremely explosive. I think he flashed some as a pass catcher. There's a couple plays where he showed the ability to catch passes down the field. Obviously, he's really good after the catch, but he's stuck behind James Conner, at least for the time being, at least for this year. So with him, you got to be patient. He's much more of a dynasty buy for me because at some point, Connor's either going to get hurt or he's going to be gone after the 2024 season. Probably is his last year of his contract. He's 29 years old already, so probably not going to get a big contract going forward. And most importantly, this is a good offense with a good quarterback, a number 1 receiver now in Marvin Harrison Jr. They're probably going to score more points this year than they did last year, run more plays. There's just going to be more opportunity in this offense. And I think this offense or the coaching staff has shown willingness to kind of like ride the hot hand and give a one guy a lot of carries in this offense. So there's a lot of things that could happen with Trey Benson going forward.
Yeah, it's a weird running back class because then you also have Blake Corum, who's just goes to, in a way, probably one of the most pro-ready running backs. He goes to the Rams where Kyren Williams was already playing. There was this point where Kyren Williams was literally doing 98% of the Rams snaps, which basically means he would take a play or 2 off and then just play the rest of the game, which basically only Christian McCaffrey does or peak Saquon pre-injury.
Well, and the fantasy points reflected that. Kyren Williams was one of the 2 best fantasy running backs in the league when he was doing that.
So then, DK, I don't know. What do you make of Blake Corum both like this year and then long term go to the Rams? So you excited for him to get 2% of the Rams carries?
I think that, I mean, in their minds, I'm guessing they want to not put so much on Kyren Williams. That's why they made this pick. They talked about it in the post game or in the post draft presser that, you know, this guy reminded us a lot of Kyren Williams. He's not the type of player where if you take Corum or if you take Williams out and put Corum in, where they're going to do something different or like tips their hand. They're basically the same player,
insurance,
more or less.
McVay was like, we liked Kyren Williams so much, we drafted a twin of his.
Right. So my guess is this hurts Kyren Williams more than it helps Corum. I don't think Corum is going to be big volume. Maybe he'll play 25%, 30% of snaps. But if anything, it just kind of hurts Kyren Williams' ceiling because he's, in theory, not going to get as much traction or as much action. I think the problem here is Sean McVay has trust issues. And there is a world in which I could see Corum playing like none. Like just Kyren Williams just plays all the snaps again. You know what I mean? Because that's just how McVay is. So again, this is a guy, Corum, who is probably going to need an injury to be super fantasy relevant in 2024.
When we went to dinner on Tuesday night in Detroit before our live show, we walked to this nice restaurant in Detroit and this guy opens the door and you guys were paying more attention. Craig, do you want to elaborate? Because honestly, you guys noticed this more than I did. This guy kind of holds the door for us and opens it. And I remember thinking, guy's kind of built and like interesting suit. And I was like, oh shit, that was Blake Corum.
Built like a brick shithouse.
he I don't know how to say it other than he had girth. Like he was just like a massive,
very short,
person.
very strong and thick and sturdy. His shirt was way too tight,
dude.
Yeah, but you can't find
what
shirts that
that?
that will fit his body type, Craig.
I'm
That's
not.
the
You're
loosest
probably
shirt you
right.
can find.
I think no, but I actually think we're in an era right now where we don't actually know what we mean when we say that like a shirt fits or not. I think we think that a shirt needs to be snug on your body when in reality it doesn't. And actually, when you're ripped and you wear a super tight shirt, it makes you look worse. And you should actually hide it a little bit better, and it'll actually hang on your frame better, and you'll look strong.
Dude, that Twitter guy, the menswear guy, was talking about this. Basically what happened.
Derek Guy, right?
Yeah, Derek Guy. He's unbelievable.
Yeah,
and
he's great.
Well, in a nutshell, I feel like the hot people wore skinny jeans and skinny clothes, and then now everyone does, and the hot people went back to baggy clothes, and now we're in this like crazy transitional era where like everyone's in no man's land with wearing stuff. It's actually like atrocious.
Snap.
If you go back and look at like the best dressed men of whatever, like in Hollywood, like people like Paul Newman or like Clark Gable or like all these, like they never wore super tight clothing. It was always like building this silhouette that was like that flowed from top to bottom, and it was never like cut off. It was like they would wear like these like flowing high-waisted pants with like kind of like a full body jacket, and it just hung on them so much nicer. And now everyone's like so over tailored that like they're squeezing out of everything, and it actually makes them look like almost like kind of chubby.
Yeah. It's like Conor McGregor testing the tensile strength of all the buttons on the shirt. But yeah, anyways, he's ripped. Is the bottom line.
Blake Corum.
He's super ripped. Yeah. He looks like a running back. Looks like an NFL running back.
High T for Blake.
I think so. The other thing is I will say about Corum is he is the type of running back that coaches trust and will trust. So I think that bodes well for him in the NFL. It's just a matter of, if he makes a mistake early in the year, is McVay going to be like, okay,
I agree with that.
That was a fun experiment. We're done.
Blake Corum didn't like test really. Like Blake Corum isn't necessarily the most explosive athlete or anything. I think Blake Corum has everything you cannot measure in like vision and like. Here's the thing.
Right.
I think you're going to hear a lot about Blake Corum this offseason of like, I forget, but he scored a shitload of touchdowns in college. I forget how many. All of them but one were inside 5 yards. And I think that
just gets it done.
Fantasy people are going to see that and say, look, he doesn't have explosive ability. Coaches are going to see that and say, oh, cool, I have a goal line back.
He's reliable.
Yeah, he is the guy that I can trust. And that to me is I think Corum will.
I'm trying to pull up his number because he scored a truly ludicrous amount of touchdowns this last year. Obviously, on a very good team. He scored 27 touchdowns. Imagine that in fantasy. 27 rushing touchdowns in 15 games.
LaDainian Tomlinson level. So DK, out of 1,600, what would you give Blake Corum on the T scale?
Oh, 1274, right, DK?
1270, yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking 1170. Something like that.
Oh, all right.
Because I don't think he's a starter. If he was going to go into a place where he's a starter, I'm giving him like 1,1500.
My early read on this is we're gonna overreact the Blake Corum draft pick, and everyone's gonna drop Kyren Williams down 10 slots, and then the season's gonna start, and Kyren Williams is gonna be a top 3 running back.
30 touches a game.
Yeah,
right.
Probably right. And Blake Corum doesn't play at all. Okay.
So buy Kyren Williams after all that.
Yeah. Wide receiver. So again, for Amnesia of 2023, Jackson Smith and Jigba was like barely plays as the third receiver for the Seahawks. Quentin Johnson was like the worst first rounder for the Chargers. Zay Flowers was incredible down the stretch. He was like a top 20 receiver in the second half of the season. Honestly, Zay Flowers should have brought the Ravens to the Super Bowl. It's crazy. Legaristi chopped that ball out at the end.
Oh, I know.
The Ravens literally would have made the Super Bowl. Tank Dell was unbelievable. Tank Dell had a month where he was the third best receiver in fantasy after Keenan Allen and CeeDee Lamb. And then he broke his leg in week 13. And also, even this happened between our last show. Tank Dell got shot over the weekend. He is okay. It's reportedly just a minor wound, but I'm reading from ESPN. Tank Dell was a bystander during a shooting at a private event in Sanford, where authorities say a teenage gunman wounded 10 people after an altercation. Texans spokesperson says Tank Dell was not seriously injured and was released from the hospital, traveled back to Houston on Sunday. Damn, God, glad he's okay, but holy shit.
I know. What kind of a gunshot wound would you consider not serious? I feel like no matter where that thing hits me, I'm like, hey, it's pretty serious.
It's like it entered your body. Yeah.
I don't know. Like if I got shot and you were like, how are you? And I'm like, it's not serious.
Your employer is like, it's not serious. Get back to work, Tank.
Like if it grazed my leg, maybe like a really light grazing. But other than that, I would consider it serious. I was shot.
That's a
I
good
agree.
call. Yeah, Craig gets shot, and Bill Simmons is like, it's not serious.
It's a flesh wound.
It's
Yes, it is. Those hurt.
Tis a flesh wound.
probably hurt. Like
Anyways,
a bitch.
very, very happy that he's okay. That's scary.
Yeah.
But I agree with Craig. Let's not call it a minor bullet wound.
And look, if Tank Dell weren't so skinny, it could have been a way worse wound.
True. Very true.
It probably only grazed him, but if he had bigger legs, it could have been a direct hit.
Yeah.
Wiry.
If he was built like Corum. Yikes. Okay, we should not joke about that. But yeah,
we're not joking.
No,
everyone's
saying
okay.
it's serious. We're saying it's like a serious thing. Getting shot's not minor.
I'm saying we shouldn't call it minor.
Right.
Yeah, I'm on Craig's side. It's getting shots major for sure.
Yes.
Speaking of major, Rashi Rice was a good rookie last year. Somehow, haven't talked about this yet, but Rashi Rice, I'm going to read directly from The Athletic. Rice is expected to be suspended for violating the league's personal conduct policy after he was involved in a multi-vehicle crash in Northeast Dallas last month, according to police. Rice was the driver of a Lamborghini sport utility vehicle that caused the crash, which created a chain reaction collision.
A Lamborghini SUV?
Police said, yeah, they're pretty cool. That's the problem.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, they're kind of sick.
Sorry.
That's
continue.
the whole problem.
I didn't know until right now that SUV stood for sport utility vehicle.
Really?
No.
What did you think it stood for?
To be honest,
Craig is playing the Heifetz role today.
To be honest, I never gave it 1 second of thought. I thought it meant like big.
Dude,
Bigger version of a car.
When Heifetz tweeted out a picture of him eating Oreos. By the way, is it the first time you've ever tried Oreos, or you just were like, I'm going to go get some Oreos?
He's just leaning into the content. What are we talking about?
He said, I'm happy to report that Oreo slap, like insinuating that was the first time he's ever had Oreos. Anyway,
maybe it had been a while.
TK, please. Do I look like a guy who hasn't had Oreos in my life?
All right, fine.
Anyway,
Anyways,
wait.
Somebody
SUV.
responded to that. Somebody responded to that tweet where we should do Danny's Discoveries. This is an extremely good idea, and so thank you for tweeting this. Danny's Discoveries, where every episode we figure out something that Heifetz has first discovered in his life that is common knowledge to everyone else. So
first up, SUVs.
Craig finding out organically just now that SUV stands for sport utility vehicle. Just incredible.
When I think of the phrase sport utility, I don't think of a big ass car. I think of a fast little car.
That's why they called it SUV, probably.
Yeah, but sport utility sounds so much cooler. Like, I don't think of a Chevy Tahoe. That's an SUV, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's not a sport utility vehicle to me. That's a car you bring the kids to soccer practice in.
I don't know, man.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Anyway,
by the way,
is probably
it's Rashi Rice, not Rashi.
Is it Rashi?
Rashi Rice. I love Rashi Rice. I don't know how long he's going to be suspended for, but if he is suspended, but I feel like he still kind of flew under the radar last year for how good he was in the last half of the season.
Flew under the radar this offseason.
That's the first time he flew under the radar.
Oh, 119 miles an hour, yeah.
Yeah, they very much radared his ass.
But yeah, I don't know. I think he's like awesome, and I would still rather have him than like Marquise Brown in Kansas City.
What about Worthy? Xavier.
Nah.
Dude, I'm out on Xavier Worthy.
Me too.
For like this season. Xavier Worthy is going to
I think he's going to get like one target a game.
Yeah. Xavier Worthy is like a better idea than an actual player. Like Xavier Worthy's value to the Chiefs, to me, is, hey, Xavier, run that way. And then they just have this whole offense underneath him.
Yeah.
And it's about the idea of Xavier Worthy that the defense starts with, shit, we have to deal with Xavier Worthy. And so they can't just let it. And so it's like they're just raising the literal roof on the defense. Like all the safeties have to play deeper and everything has to be deeper. And then it's for Kelsey and Rice and Marquise Brown to work underneath. But I'm so dubious of the idea that Xavier Worthy is going to be more than like getting a couple screens a game and one deep look. But he's basically like Rashid Shaheed to me.
Yeah, it's wild that you say that after that's exactly what they did for Rashi Rice during his entire rookie season, was just manufacture like 100 touches for him.
Yeah, but
you look at them as similar players?
Yes. That's exactly what he was using. Like, he was a short and intermediate guy, run after the catch.
But Rashi Rice is 40 pounds heavier.
Okay, well, he's Xavier Worthy's a lot faster.
I feel like he's going to be running wind sprints on the other side of the field, on the other side of the play. And it's going to be like that scene in Eastbound and Down. Xavier Worthy's going to show up to camp and be like, yeah, I'm a bit of I'm a bit of an athlete myself.
Wait,
I'm training for a triathlon. And Rashi Rice is going to be like, that's cool. I play real sports, all right? Not trying to be the best at exercising.
Don't worry. Wait, DK, I figured it out. You guys know that meme of the bell curve where it's like the idiot guy is just saying something and then the middle is like a nerd and the end's like Yoda? The first dumb guy is Xavier Worthy is just saying, fastest guys on the Chiefs now with Mahomes. In the middle, it's like, and the offense is complicated. He's going to be used as a gadget player. And then the Yoda is like, fastest guy in the league plays with Mahomes.
Yeah, that's so true.
And DK's just sitting here with his hood like Yoda, just being like, these guys fucking don't get it. Anyway. All right, that's Xavier Worthy. What were we talking about? Oh, receivers.
Yeah, let's go to Marvin Harrison here.
Marv.
Oh,
Maserati Marv.
1600. What's the T on?
His T is like 1550, I would say. I mean, there's not a lot to hate. Landing spot is pretty damn good. Talent-wise, he's great. T for touches, he is going to get potentially more touches than any rookie wide receiver. I mean, like he could have Jamar Chase level volume coming out of the gate. I mean, I can't think of the last time a prospect like him had this little competition. I mean, even Jamar Chase had T. Higgins. Marvin Harrison Jr. has Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, Greg Dortch.
Dortch!
Justin Jefferson, he had Adam Thielen when Adam Thielen had 14 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb had Amari Cooper. Garrett Wilson didn't have a quarterback. Chris Olave didn't have a quarterback. Judy didn't have a quarterback. Like, this guy has Kyler Murray, no competition, and has the talent. So to me, it's like he's probably going to be a wide receiver one immediately. And I think like top 12 to 15 overall at the position is probably reasonable for him.
If you guys started your draft, out of curiosity, it's fucking May, so like whatever, man. But like, let's just say randomly,
okay,
whatever. But like, if you started with, I don't know, you got Bijan Robinson in the first round, you come back around and you get like Kyron Williams because everyone's like doesn't think it's real, and then you come back around, you're like, oh my god, Travis Kelce's here, this is sick, and you get Kelce, and then you come back around in the fourth round. Would you take Marvin Harrison Jr. as like your first receiver? If it's like 35th.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy though. Like, cause he's a rookie and we're like, yeah, he'll just be the number one receiver on my team.
How high
like,
did Jamar Chase go in mocks last year or 3 years ago?
Last year or his rookie year?
Sorry, his rookie season. How high was he drafted?
50s. I think 50s, 55, 60, I want to say.
Yeah.
I think Marvin's
really
like 15 spots higher than that.
Jamar Chase, rookie season, 80 catches, 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns.
All of which were records.
Yeah, Jack posted in the chat. I don't think Marv is going to be around in the fourth round. I think you're going to have to make that decision earlier.
Higher than 35th? That's
second
crazy.
Round.
We're talking
second
about this
round.
as a rookie receiver.
Well, because like, I mean,
rounder?
I don't know. Look at
Second
like,
or
who would
third.
you rather have? Would you rather have Marvin Harrison or Nico Collins?
Dude, with
Marv.
Diggs now, I have Diggs. I'm going to be high on Diggs. I'd probably take.
Would you rather have Marvin Harrison Jr. or DJ Moore?
Cooper Kupp, Drake London.
It's like all those
I
guys.
use-
Those are two
Olave.
good. Those are three great examples because I have beef with all those guys.
Yeah,
Right.
well, it's like they're all in like really crowded like rooms now. It's like
Dude, so
DJ Moore
Drake
is-
London has a really good connection with Taylor Heineke.
right.
So I don't know, man. I can already tell that's going to be our bit, the dumbest thing we
callback.
have all year that ends up being right. Every year we've won one incredibly stupid bit that actually comes true, and this is going to be Taylor Heineke's going to be the quarterback for Atlanta. All right, that's going to be our Kadarius Toney. Will have 2 touchdowns on 5 snaps of 2024. All right. So Marvin, I agree, Craig. Like we'll figure out where, but I think that's a really good call. I actually think I would take
Second
Marvin
round.
over
It's
Kupp.
going to be second round.
You think second round?
No, I think that's best
Jack
ball really
says-
influences rankings. This
I think
time.
it's third round.
Yeah, his
I don't know.
underdog ADP is 15.
If you get him in the
Jackson
third
said
round,
stuff,
that's a
but
fucking
that's not
steal.
real life.
You got yourself a stew going.
Marvin is, oh my god! All right, so now the flip side, the exact opposite's Rome Odunze, DK, because he's going to the Bears, and it's like
Low
Damn it.
T. Low T.
Yeah.
Kind of low T.
Craig said that when he got on the plane. He looked Rome Odunze dead in his face and was like, "You're low T."
I did.
Get that Tia.
And then I said, you know what? I'm in first class now. You're in coach. And he listened.
Rookie numbers.
He got up. Team player. That's essentially what he's doing on the Bears. He's in coach now. He was in first class in college. Now he's in coach.
It's flying
It is.
coach, if you
Yeah.
will.
Oh shit, that was good, DK.
That's a good name for a podcast.
That's a
Yeah.
really good podcast that Craig produced. Anyway, yeah, it's not the most ideal landing spot for Odunze in year one. I think long term, I'm very excited about what Odunze can do. And I think he has a possibility of being paired with, potentially very good quarterback in Caleb Williams long term. It's gonna be awesome. This year, it's tough because you got DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen had like a 30% target rate last year. So there's just going to be not a lot of targets to go around, I think, in this offense, especially with, you got other longer established guys. They're going to throw a couple passes to Cole Kmet. They're going to throw a couple passes to the running backs. It's all that. It's just hard to imagine Odunze will have a target rate of 20+%. And therefore, I don't know. It's kind of tough without an injury to see him being like super fantasy relevant in year one. What do you guys think about that? I'm still very excited about him long term, but this year could be a little bit frustrating.
I like what Heifetz said. We were talking the other day, and Heifetz said that Odunze could kind of be like a souped up Jackson Smith and Jigba this year, where he's got the talent, but just the role is not there yet. What is it? The T for touches. It's just not there yet for Rome. Like, to be honest, I wanted to ask you guys this. Obviously, his talent is so high, Rome Odunze, but like if you compare him to somebody like Keon Coleman, who like might slot in as the number one wide receiver on the Bills right now, or let's say a Brian Thomas, who might be in the mix a bit more early on. Like, would you take both those guys over Rome Odunze, or like even a Ladd McConkey just for this season, fantasy wise?
I think I might have Ladd a little bit higher. And it is because I think Ladd's going to have more opportunities right away. He could slide in as the number one player on this team. I saw an article by Matt Bowen from ESPN today that got me excited about Ladd. Basically, they're going to be running a lot of play action, middle of the field, down the middle. McConkey's awesome on those plays where he basically can catch the ball, hit the gas, and run away from defenders. Give him a little bit of a runway. I think he could do some very interesting things. There's just no target competition on that team right now. It's like Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnston, Darius Davis, Go Frogs.
Ladd McConkey gave this interview the other day. It's incredible. All these players learn to pitch themselves really well. And I actually try to watch more of their interviews because they obviously with their agents and everything, they actually have, like, some of these guys have really good pitches. And they asked Ladd McConkey, why do you think you're going to succeed in the NFL? And Ladd McConkey's like, do you remember when like those 7 first-round players out of Georgia's defense went in the first round the last year and the year before that? Like, yeah, he's like, do you know I like practice against those guys every day for like 3 years?
I love that. Iron sharpens iron, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's just like, I have been playing against NFL defenders for 4 years. I'm like, yeah, it's a good pitch.
Yeah, agreed. I think so. Situationally, there's some similarities to Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think to be clear though, Rome's a better prospect and a very different style of player. So I think there is a chance he gets on the field more and has more varied route participation. And because basically, and by the way, this is the same OC that had Jackson Smith and Jigba last year, who when he left for the Bears, Jackson Smith and Jigba was like, yeah, good luck to the Bears with that one. So obviously JSN hates this guy.
No, the first thing he said, they asked him, what do you think of Shane Waldron? He's like, are we live? Is this live?
Oh my God.
Is this going on the internet? Yeah.
That has to be our thing now. That's honestly, that surpassed Rodgers being like,
are we live?
That's my favorite quote. Every time we have something negative to say, it's like, hey, Heifetz, what do you think of Kadarius Toney? I'm like, are we live?
So I want to say up with my friend. Oh, how are they? They're nice. They're nice.
But anyways, I think the reason, so there's a big difference in terms of Rome Odunze versus Jackson Smith and Jigba. And I think one of the reasons Smith and Jigba took so long to do anything for the Seahawks is the only routes he ran, essentially the first like half or 2/3 of the season, was these little screen routes. Like they basically get him on the field, throw a screen to him,
used them like Dwayne Eskridge,
and then go the sideline. It was very bizarre. I hope anyway, that's not what the Bears trying to do with Odunze. So I think there's a greater chance that he could get on the field earlier and have more success than JSN did last year. I don't think that's like exactly the same situation, but the point being there's 2 established veteran receivers in front of him. It's just going to be hard for him to find reliable high-end targets in this offense.
We also have we have Malik Nabers at LSU here, who I think is certainly toward the Marvin Harrison end of T versus Rome Odunze, because you got Malik Nabers, who, the team, New York Giants, so one of the best offenses in football the last few years.
Yeah, how many touchdowns?
I think number 1 the most
lately. Yeah,
I heard. I think it's the most.
The league in touchdowns.
Yeah, I think
so. That's awesome. And then
the
talent,
most.
I don't know the number, but it's the most.
The most. They scored the most touchdowns.
Nabers is basically Jamar Chase times AJ Brown times like one of those Jaegers from Pacific Rim. Like that's basically the comp, right?
That was DK's draft comp.
Yeah,
that was his draft comp.
I haven't seen Pacific Rim, but yeah, it sounds right.
Oh, dude, it's the best worst movie.
Well,
ever.
you have because you've been watching Malik Nabers tape.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like if there were more Malik Nabers. It's like Malik Nabers.
Do they come out of the water? Is that what something like that?
Yeah, it's like the aliens live in the center of Earth, and they come out, and then we built giant what is it, Rock'em Sock'em robots?
Yeah,
to beat the shit out of the aliens that are coming out.
God,
of the
that
Earth.
sounds incredible.
And all you need to know about the movie is that Charlie Kelly from It's Always Sunny is the smartest scientist in the world, and that's the entire vibe. He's the smartest guy on Earth. And that's all you need to know about the movie. Anyway, I think they're going to build
Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. What? You can't have two cities in the same state.
What's your favorite food? Milk steak. What? No, we're not putting that. We're going to put steak.
Pittsburgh can't possibly be in Pennsylvania.
You can.
I think they're going to build the entire
the
Giants.
Two guys is so good in that scene.
If you're wondering what we're talking about, it's an It's Always Sunny scene someone once told us is the entire thing we do on our show, which is just argue about two cities being in one state. Anyway, it's just every conversation.
What is this man talking about? Yeah.
Malik Nabers. I think the Giants' entire offense is going to be Malik Nabers. Like it's just Brian Day. I actually think Puka Nakua's records, if they're broken by someone in this class, if it's not Marvin Harrison, I think it would be
no pressure.
Nabers. Puka got 160 targets last year, and I kind of wonder if Malik Nabers would get that. I would like the Giants to give him that.
Man, it'd be awesome if the Giants started scoring touchdowns again.
Well, I know they're going to lead the league again. That'd be crazy. But then you have Brian Thomas at LSU, who it's weird because he went to Jacksonville. They cut Zay Jones today. So Jacksonville's got Evan Ingram at tight end. They got Brian Thomas now, and they got Christian Kirk, and then Gabe Dave.
Yeah. I mean, look, Brian Thomas definitely slots in the Calvin Ridley role, right? Like he's like the big, tall, explosive burner. He's like way bigger than Calvin Ridley. Even this guy's 6'4", ran a 4.39, right? DK, like this guy is. You compare him to Christian Watson.
Explosive.
From a touches standpoint, less defined of a role, I would say. A lot of mouths to feed in Jacksonville. Like you don't exactly know how he's going to slot in. Like maybe this is more of a guy who starts slow and could finish the year really hot, but. To me, he's probably like a fringe top 100 guy just because there are like Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, and Gabe Davis are like three established, talented NFL players. And they have Travis Etienne who can catch balls that I'm like, all right, if Brian Thomas is a star, like it will break through eventually. But right out the gate, I don't know if I'm ready to like commit to that.
Right. I worry that he's going to be super volatile. Is the thing. I think he's extremely talented and very fast. Obviously, can take the top of a defense at any time. So there's going to be the home run plays. But like the Christian Watson style, I mean, I don't think he's, hopefully he doesn't have the injury situation that Christian Watson has, but, just stylistically that type of player. And I think I remember hearing that Calvin Ridley was like kind of complaining about the way that they utilized him last year. It was just a lot of vertical routes up the sideline, very high degree of difficulty type plays.
And now he's with Will Levis. Good luck, Calvin.
Yeah. It's high degree of difficulty. Yeah. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. Considering how often Calvin really didn't know where the fucking sideline was, I don't know.
He had like 5 touchdowns. Then he just had one heel out or whatever.
Guy gets suspended for 1 season and forgets where the lines are. Anyway.
I would say he didn't have any misunderstanding of where the lines were. He's pretty
comfortable
with the lines.
The lines are moving. That's the problem.
Got it.
Yeah. Couple other ones here. So you wait. So Brian Thomas, I think so. It's Marvin is like top tier. I think Nabers is in a tier of his own. And then I would say Brian Thomas probably more appealing than Odunze, even though I like Odunze as a player better. Right.
I don't know.
Keenan Allen gets hurt one time, and we're gonna feel so stupid for not having Odunze in your team.
I would take Odunze over Brian
I would take Odunze over Brian Thomas.
Yeah. Okay. And then a couple other guys I want to. I think there's a huge drop off. Do you guys agree in rookie receivers after this in terms of this season? I really am excited about these guys long term. Ricky Pearsall, frankly, I call him Slick Rick, which I don't know how he went the whole season.
They call him that, or he calls himself that?
I should have clarified. It's a good question. I got to follow up on that. I don't know who calls him Slick Rick. They
call me Slick Rick, guys.
Red flag. I think Ricky Pearsall will be really good in the 49ers. I also eventually. I also don't think Ricky Pearsall will do much beyond being an awesome punt returner as long as Brandon Ayuk is on the Niners. So I'm not like super excited about him for this year. I do think Ricky Pearsall will be really good on that team. And then I look at like Xavier Leggett out of South Carolina, who's now in Carolina for the Panthers. And I'm like, again, worst landing spot in the NFL, maybe for Xavier Leggett. Best, depending how you want to look at it. No competition, I guess. But like, I don't know. This is a guy who Xavier Leggett is one of those log lines in college that you kind of have to like look at with like clear your eyes. Because he had 2019, he had 9 catches for 80 yards. And he had 7 catches for 113 yards. And these are seasons. 7 for 113 yards.
These
8
are
catches
seasons.
for 63 yards. Like Puka Nacua, this is like how his career started per game in the NFL. Like in 2021, 8 catches for 63 yards for Xavier Leggett. And then 2022, 18 catches for 167 yards. That's a year. A year 5, finally, last season, 71 catches for 1,200 plus yards. But then you look at the context and it's like, senior high school, they switched him to quarterback because he could play quarterback. And then, unfortunately, his father passed away and then he enters college. So then he gray shirts as a freshman. Then it was a COVID. Then it's a sophomore year. They changed coaches. And then the junior year, they changed the coach again. So it's like ridiculous lack of production, but also absurd context to why. Then I look and I'm like, okay, what's the organization that could foster Xavier Leggett, who has just not played much football, into being an immediately productive guy? And I'm like, is it Dave Canales, the head coach who got a great season out of the Bucs? Maybe. Then I'm like, David Tepper's the owner of this fucking team. And I'm like, I'm going to bet on this team and this to develop this guy. I'm like, I don't really want to be holding the bag, to be honest.
Yeah. He's a guy that I'm probably just not going to have a lot of.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he's physically like elite. Like he has incredible speed, 4.3, 940. DK Metcalf style physique. So obviously I think there is some upside here, but I don't know, man. I'm just that 4 years of doing nothing and then 50-year breakout is a scary profile to me, regardless of who it is. And I'm just a little bit skeptical, a little bit worried about that. And this is also a team that took last year, Jonathan Mingo, who was sort of a guy that didn't produce much in college, but he was really physically impressive. They're not the same type of player. They're not the stylistically the same type of player, but I don't know. It just worries me.
So I am happy for Xavier Leggett that he got drafted by the one team in the one city that will water down his accent the least.
Yeah,
he gets to stay in Carolina. I know it's North Carolina versus South, but still.
Dude, it's the best. It's like if you walk into like a Bojangles in rural North Carolina, like that's what people sound like, and it's so incredible to have like a potentially mega famous person bring it to the world.
So good.
I also have to admit something to you guys. Keon Coleman on the Bills, who I actually think has maybe had the quickest ascendancy from nobody knows who this person is to beloved in the world, like I've ever seen from an NFL player. Keon Coleman is just like between the Waffle House video, he's talking about the pork chops and the yellow jacket. I buy my jackets in the summer. He went to he saw their cold, like running imaginary routes on the field. He's playing Madden with himself. Like all these videos they're putting out. He is the most fun. He's like, honestly, like Tom Hanks in Big. Like he's just a child. I got to tell you, I think this guy's going to suck because the world is a cold, dark, brutal, awful place.
Wow.
There's no fucking chance.
I didn't think
There's no fucking chance that a guy this wonderful and
he's too pure
is going to be there's no chance this guy's be a baller as an NFL rookie. Like Keon Coleman having 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns to be on the cover of Madden. No fucking chance. He's too nice. He's too sweet for this world. He's going to suck and we're going to be sad about it.
Nice guys finished last. Well, this is what we were talking about on one of the previous episodes. It was like there are no wide receivers who are just like genuinely famous for being awesome right now. Usually they're just divas. Like who is just like a really great receiver to hang out with right now? Who's passing that test? I don't know who it is. I'm sure they exist, but we don't know them. They're not famous. I
should probably rank him higher because if he's like the nicest guy ever and awesome, that would be so cool to have him on your team. But I also kind of think, frankly, I think I'm out on the world being that kind of place anymore.
Wow.
So
love it. It's all 30, one
so
gutter, man.
So you're gonna rank
just a gutter in outer space.
You're gonna rank him low because the world is a cruel and unjust place.
Yeah,
I like that. That's good. Basically. See, that's what separates us from other rankings. Like we're really bringing in spirituality and like cosmic, karma. That's good.
Dude, what does Logan Roy say in Succession? It's like life is a fight in the mud for the knife.
God.
Jesus. Okay, wait, DK. I want to talk about football. Where Keon Coleman.
Hold on. Okay, I'm ready.
Marvin Harrison, Malik Nabers. So Marvin Harrison, tier 1. Malik Nabers probably in his own tier 2.
Mm-hmm.
Tier 3, maybe we do Odunze. Is Keon Coleman there for you?
He could be. I like McConkey a little bit more.
Not the same tier. You think?
Yeah.
Odunze and McConkey are in their own tier, and then a tier below is Keon Coleman.
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting.
Well, we'll see how it goes in the preseason and everything. Maybe they'll build more hype. Maybe he'll make a bunch of cool plays, but there's still other guys in that offense. And this is the other thing, especially in the second half of the year when they switched OCs, it was like there was not a number 1 in this offense. What if this is just the same deal going forward? And he's just, a very much more talented, glorified Gabe Dave, where he's just making a couple of big plays a game.
Right.
So I just worry about that a little bit. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch him play, but I just don't think I'm not expecting big things right away.
Would you rather have Jalen Polk on the Patriots just for 2023?
Polk.
What did I say?
Poke.
You say Polk.
Shit, I did it again. Jalen Polk. Polk? Polk.
Polk. How would you pronounce Poke?
Polk.
Right. So that can't be the same as Polk,
Yeah, I guess.
Well, there are some words that sound the same. But that's
I know, but like it's different.
Homonyms? Is that what they're called?
I can't tell if I'm not saying it all, if I'm saying it really slightly. Polk. But if I pronounce, but how would you say folk?
You say, I would say,
do you pronounce the L in folk?
I think there's a sliding scale of whether or not people pronounce the L in these types of words.
What about folk music? How do you say FOLK music?
I would say folk music. I think.
Folk.
You say the L.
Yeah. But I do know some people say folk music.
Craig is right, though. It's like a sliding scale. It's like a little, cursor thing or whatever that you slide back and forth. Heifetz is on the extreme far end of just going, Jalen Poke.
Yeah, that L is hidden.
Like you go full in on the poke versus Polk.
Yeah, I guess I do. Anyway, what do you think of him?
And you don't want to say Polk. Like that's too much.
Yeah,
good play, though. I think so. First of all, let's just talk about the Patriots and their second round receivers and the history therein. A lot of huge misses in the second round and in the first round for the Patriots over the last decade plus. However, this is a new team, new GM, importantly, Elliott Wolf, who came up in the Green Bay system in scouting and basically grew up in that whole world. John Schneider was making jokes at the combine about how he essentially was babysitting Elliott Wolf back in the day when John Schneider was the Green Bay scout, and Ron Wolf was the GM at the time. So he grew up in the Green Bay scouting system. Green Bay has done really well for themselves in terms of scouting and finding receivers in the second, third, fourth round. So I'm hoping that is the case with Jalen Polk in terms of if you're just really worried, he landed with the Patriots can't do receivers. I don't think we need to look at it that way. Secondly, new quarterback in town, Drake May. I'm excited again for the long term. These guys pairing up. I think Jalen Polk and Javon Baker have the potential to be pretty good down the line. I'm not expecting a lot this year for either Polk or Baker or anyone really in this offense. I think there could be some real growing pains. But that being said, Jalen Polk has a chance to play right away. Kendrick Bourne's coming off of an ACL. Juju is slot only and is, arguably washed. DeMario Davis is like their slot receiver starter. KJ Osborne's there, but Jalen Polk has a chance to go in and be a starter from the get-go. So, I don't know. I compared him to Jacoby Myers in my draft guide. Remember Jacoby Myers a couple of years ago on the Patriots? A guy who's pretty reliable. He's like a de facto number one, not necessarily super flashy. You can plug him in as a flex every once in a while. That's kind of what I'm expecting early on for Jalen Polk.
Have I ever read you guys the list of the Patriots receivers that went either 1 or 2 picks after the Patriots drafted a receiver? Like the Patriots draft, like the last 20 years, the Patriots grab a receiver, and if the list of who they could have had just by the objective measure of who was a guy that went the next receiver taken or the next receiver taken 2 picks later, New England, if they had just taken the guy, Anquan Bolden, Greg Jennings, Mike Wallace, Keenan Allen, AJ Brown, George Pickens.
Tough.
And the guys they took the guys New England has taken have had 3,000 yards in their career. And the guys that went after them will have 40,000 yards in their career.
40,000.
40,000.
Look, that's why Belichick's not a head coach,
Dude, and that was like Tom
three.
Brady was the freaking quarterback the whole time. You can't even blame it on bad QB play.
Last one here. I want to hit Brock Bowers. Tight end. It's been very strange for tight ends. Rookie tight ends are usually bad. Last year was the best year for rookie tight ends ever. Sam Laporta set the record. We're not a record for catches by rookie tight end. It's cheating. It's 17 games, but he did become the third tight end to ever have 10 touchdowns as a rookie. Still cheating, but whatever. It's Gronk, Mike Ditka, and Sam Laporta. Shout out Ditka. Did that in 12 games. Dalton Kincaid quietly had the 7th most yards for rookie tight end in 21st century. So the other ones are whatever. But Brock Bowers, TK, what do you realistically expect from Brock? Like, at what point do you take Brock Bowers on the Raiders now? Like, at what point in the draft do you take him?
That's a good question. I still am very excited about Bowers. I think the landing spot wasn't ideal because he lands in a situation where Devontae Adams is going to hoover up probably 25 to 30% of the targets. Again, it's not a great quarterback situation with Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell starting. But that being said, my initial ranking, I got him as my tight end 10. I mean, I'm going for it. I think he is so athletic, so versatile. The fact that he lands in a system with Michael Mayer, they're not going to ask him. This is not a situation where this is what I was worried about prior to the draft, where he lands with a team that's going to try and turn him into a normal tight end. And I think the advantage of landing where he did in Las Vegas is it doesn't seem like they're going to try and turn him into a normal tight end. They know he is essentially a slot receiver. He's going to be, out there lined up with Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, and Brock Bowers. They're kind of like the three guys in that passing game. So I'm still pretty bullish about him. He's just so good. He's so explosive, so, elusive with the ball in his hands. I think he can do a lot of things for them.
Yeah, look, I feel like there's not a lot of like red flags other than the quarterback play, right? Like he's probably going to have a decent role here next to Devontae Adams. It's just like, how much do you trust somebody like Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew?
Right.
But with tight ends, that's usually not as big of an issue.
Hold on one second.
You guys want to read some emails?
Stop chewing on that. Hold on.
What's your dog chewing on, DK?
Hopefully not the mic.
It's just a piece of straw. It was stuck in his beard.
Straw? Where are you?
Or a piece of grass, I should say.
Straw sounds pretty cool. Oh, wow.
That
wow,
does
that's
look like straw.
It was
That's
stuck
straw.
to his beard, and then he just started chewing on it.
I love dogs with beards.
George, everything in my house is like always wet because George just drinks out of his bowl and then just water everywhere.
You guys know my friend.
All my furniture, all the carpet, it's just wet.
Shout out my friends Kyle and Molly who have this giant Newfoundland. I think I've shown you the pictures.
Yeah.
He's like 140 pounds, this giant poofy dog. And he drinks out of a fucking bucket like a horse. But
Newfies are the best.
He has a bib because if he drinks out of the water and then he don't bib him, dude, he drips. Like he just everything gets so the drool. He has he can ruin a pair of pants or just you got to wash it because it's like you went half in a pool.
It's like you got slimed in Ghostbusters.
It is slime.
Dude, Newfoundlands. And so George is at least half Great Pyrenees. And Newfoundlands and Great Pyrenees, I think, are kind of similar because they love being outside. They have really thick outdoor coats and George will just go out in the rain and just lay down. Just loves being outside. Doesn't give a shit about anything. I feel like Newfoundlands are probably kind of similar.
It's weird that we love showers but hate rain.
I love rain.
You love rain?
I hate rain.
That's a conscious belief, though. You're so like your first instinct is you hate
Craig,
rain.
you live in LA.
Also, wait, you live in LA.
It rains here.
Fucking put your money where your mouth is, pal.
No.
Rainy.
It rains a lot more than you think it does here.
Bullshit. I lived there for 3 years. No, it doesn't.
Last year,
fuck no.
There's been no fires the last 2 years because it's been raining so much in California.
Knock on wood.
Moving to LA was the funniest experience because I moved there and it was the driest winter on record. It never rained. It rained so long I forgot about rain. And it everyone's oh, it's terrible for the fires. It gets no rain. Then the next year was the wettest winter on record. Got all this rain. And I'm oh, that's good for the fires. No, it's terrible. Because then everything grows. Then it dies and burns. The theme is just, it doesn't matter how much rain you get.
Time created life so it could kill things, right? Dude, look at, Jack points out, in the chat that LA, I actually did see this headline the other day. LA has more rain this year than Seattle does.
Yeah, what's up?
Dude,
why
get
don't
the
we
fuck
like
outta here.
zoom out a little, pal? Go 10 years. Who's
All
winning
I'm
now?
saying is like it rains more than you think down here. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, like a few
No,
times.
it doesn't. I can't
You're
stress enough.
telling me
It doesn't.
you're telling me that you would have thought that LA had more rain than Seattle. All I'm saying is it rained more than you think.
Fine. I'll give you that. You had a hurricane. You had one hurricane.
Yeah, we had a fucking hurricane.
That was
although
weird.
It was not bad at all. It was really, really mild. It was literally just a day of rain, and everybody was like running to the
It's
store,
like flooding.
You know how I know that you guys can't handle rain?
oh, geez. People on the East Coast love doing this. They love just shitting on us any way they can. We're not upset with you. Leave us alone.
The one time at the Ringer office, it rained. And I mean literally one time. And we had to order lunch because the fear was how will people eat if there is no like it wasn't like, oh, it's raining, we'd say nice. It was like a genuine concern people would starve, unable to head out into the rain. Like people would be like
Dude,
unwell.
I lived in New York for a year. It's not like when it was pouring rain, everyone was like outside having a picnic. It sucks when it rains, no matter where you live.
That's why we're jealous. We're mad. It's a bitterness that's driving us. Anyway,
You love
what are we
LA.
talking
I
about?
know you do.
Yeah, we're doing emails. Okay. Shout out to Pablo Torre, who did a whole episode on his podcast about the Yankee wife swap thing. A lot of people
yeah.
I
asked
heard.
about that.
We got a couple tweets. I gotta listen to that.
Yeah, I gotta.
They've been
I gotta
doing.
check that
I
out.
think they've been doing background on it for a couple months. I'm excited to hear what they find out.
Oh, really?
They also
Yeah.
did it. Yeah.
Did they
okay.
interview David Mandel?
I don't know. I gotta listen to it.
Okay.
Why does it feel
Craig,
like every time we bring something up on our show, like immediately? I mean, I know that it's the
guy dies?
What's
the
that?
Bader
What's that
Meinhof
called?
effect
Yeah.
or whatever, but
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
every
yeah.
time we mention anything on the pod, all of a sudden it's like all over Twitter. It's bizarre.
What was that thing you mentioned once about the water that like there's a kind of water that flow that like
Oh yeah,
becomes
looks frozen?
Lanier flow or something.
lanicular flow, or is that the
Something
islands
like
for
that.
the Eagles? We have a weird show.
I don't know.
It's like where the water's flowing, it's so still
Yeah,
that
it's
it
so
looks
cool.
like it's frozen.
Okay, one other. Craig, you have been asking about what the flavor is of Oreos because you're like Oreos, cookies and cream. What is the flavor of Oreos?
Yeah.
Okay, we got an email from David.
Dave.
Hey, Big Dave.
Boys.
I love when people are mad at
Boys.
us.
The flavor of Oreos is
You
chocolate.
fucking idiots. Yeah.
The flavor of Oreos is chocolate. It's a chocolate cookie with
No, it's
vanilla
not.
cream filling.
That's a catch-all. A million
said-
things are chocolate, but
David
nothing
says-
tastes like an Oreo.
This email made me laugh so much. David says, this is not complicated. People probably could not comprehend how stupid this question was.
Oh.
This flavor you're associating as chocolate is probably something like a Hershey bar, which is mostly sugar with a hint of chocolate. Chocolate's bitter. Oreos are chocolate and vanilla. Get over it.
I don't know, man. If I have a chocolate vanilla shake, it don't taste like an Oreo.
I don't buy
Are
it.
Oreos chocolate and vanilla or not? Because I get what you're saying.
Look, I
This
know
is-
he's right. Like, I know there's not some secret undiscovered flavor that Oreos possess, but like,
It's Hydrox.
I think
It's cleaning supplies.
I think it is funny that like there's not many other like candies or cookies that taste like Oreos. And meanwhile,
There's 1,000 though.
but are there that taste like Oreos? Where you're
I
like,
guess
this
they're all
cookie
Oreo
tastes just like an Oreo.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
You could, I feel like you could find, a Snickers bar and a Baby Ruth are the same fucking thing. Like, I just feel like there's not a lot of Oreo.
A Baby Ruth
comps.
is like, you have never had a Baby Ruth? Is that what's in there?
Dude, I got this whole thing about Baby Ruth and Snickers. If you
Go
read,
ahead.
Dude.
if you read the 5 ingredients of each candy bar, they are the same. They are the same thing. One just has better branding. They are both peanuts, caramel, milk chocolate, nougat, and is that it?
I've never
peanuts,
opened
caramel,
a Baby Ruth.
chocolate, nougat. And it's the same thing as a Snickers. It's the same.
Yeah, well, maybe
4
it's kind of like
things.
Hydrox. It's like, don't name your candy after like some fat baseball player from the 20s.
Yeah, it's just awful branding, and maybe like the amounts of the ingredients are different, but it's crazy that it's pretty much just the same shit.
Wow, it is. You know, I swear to God, I've always at Halloween I dealt those away first. Did you guys ever
Oh,
trade candy on Halloween?
Absolutely.
Oh, dude, that was like my like 5th round dynasty pick. I'm just giving those away like the Saints and pick swaps. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
take our picks. I don't give a shit.
It's just
I'm
they're
like-
they're not chocolate.
Are they-
I'm sorry. I don't
What?
accept that
What's not
explanation. Oreos. I was looking up the Oreo ingredients. Technically, chocolate
Oreos or
is
Baby
in there.
Ruths? What are you talking about?
You don't.
I'm
you're saying
still
you don't
on
believe.
Oreos.
You think it's some secret alien flavor that they dropped on the planet in 1912 and then left.
Yeah, dude.
Sure.
That's like tired as aliens built the pyramids, but wired as aliens made Warriors.
Yeah.
But aliens. Anyway.
Yeah, okay. We haven't even said goodbye yet. We should probably do that. Okay. Rankings are coming out soon. Take on for that. And again, thank you. As you can see, if you've made it this far to the episode and you found out about the draft show you've seen, we're still fucking stupid. And we talk about football. So it's fun. And we have a good time. Emails at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Still in the Oreos thing. Baby Ruths. Rain in LA. What was the other thing? We had one more. Was still on an Owls. Oh, podcast speeds. Oh my God. All you people who listen are maniacs. We have 1 to 1.5 speed. 88% of you responded.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Okay. Wait. Back up. Tell people what this poll was.
So we were talking. So Solak listens to TV shows at 1.5 speed, watches them.
And our colleague Austin Gale listens to podcasts at 2.7, which is truly should be illegal.
2.7.
So, people, we gave an option. Do you listen at 1 to 1.5 speed? 88% of people are at 1.5 speed.
Wow. That's more than I would have thought. Yeah.
7% are between 1.6 and 2. And then over 2 is 2%. 1% of people, which is like 8 people responded to this saying it was between 2 and 2.5. And then 1% said it was over 2.5 speed. So Austin Gale's built diff, but that's crazy to me.
We got almost 2,000 votes. So 2% of 2,000 is 40. So about 40 people of the 2,000 listened over 2x.
Nice.
Math.
That it's crazy. My brother's in town and we were chatting and I was like, "Oh, what do you listen to? What speed?" And he was like, 1. He was like, "Why would I? What?" I was like, I do personally do 1.2. I think it's just like the perfect little.
You're also
enhancer.
literally a podcast producer. Like you're the least representative person in the world for this topic.
No, I know, but I'm just like, I was actually surprised that he, as just like a normal consumer, was like, "Oh yeah, I just still do 1." I'm like, "Oh, I feel like most people like to listen a little fast, but maybe we're clearly wrong."
Yeah.
It's almost like people who work for podcast networks aren't representative of the podcast consumption.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Solak, who I still think is here in spirit. Thank you, Kai, for producing this episode. Thank you to Jack. Thank you, Kiera. Thank
Solak,
you,
RIB to Solak.
RIB.
Thank you, everyone who emailed us. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Sting.
Nice.
Why?
I don't know.
Just a good artist.
Just cuz.
First concert I ever went to, The Police.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, I was like 10.
Nice.
Went with my dad in San Jose.
I saw Fleetwood Mac live.
Whoa. That's awesome.
It was pretty rad. It was very good. It made me a lifelong fan. It made me a fan from the point on in my life at that point, which was
you built a time machine to go back in time and start listening at a younger age.
I became a lifelong fan at that moment. Yeah.
Fleetwood's great.
There's such a wild dynamic on stage.
So messy. There's such a messy group.
It's like all the Zoomers are discovering what's up with Fleetwood Mac. And there's like this video going viral now of like her like screaming. I forget one of the many songs at him and just like but staring Lindsey Buckingham dead in the eyes. Yeah. And it is.
You think the money was worth it? I feel like the money had to have been worth it doing that.
Yeah, just hey, you know that 16-year-old or 17-year-old you broke up with and hate? You have to spend the rest of your life yelling at him. But like you'll be,
She was 16?
They were young, man.
Ooh.
Also, do you know the Edge of 17? This could be apocryphal and fake, but Edge of 17 is Tom Petty was dating some British woman at the time, and Stevie Nicks was meeting her in LA, and Stevie Nicks said, "How old are you?" And she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm the age of." She said, "When did you move to LA?" And the British woman said, "Age of 17." But Stevie Nicks heard Edge of 17, and that's what the song's about.
I love when like
that's cool.
When mishearing something turns in like, isn't that how Spotify got created?
Is it?
I thought the phrase Spotify, this could super be wrong, but I thought I read or heard that Daniel Ek thought his buddy was saying something, like they were trying to come up with names. Some guy said something and Daniel Ek was like, "Did you say Spotify?" And the guy was like, "No." And then he was like, "What about Spotify?" That's
Spotify.
A cool name.
This is incredible because usually this is the moment when we hear a story like that. We're like, "Hey, if you work at this place, let us know." But like we work at Spotify, so we should probably know.
It sounds right. It sounds familiar.
Email us if this is true.
Yeah.
That's actually really funny. I wonder if there's anybody who listens to us who works at Spotify who like doesn't work at the Ringer.
Oh, there we go. That's the test.
yeah.
If you work at Spotify, find our emails on the internal system and just email our real email. So you
Slack us.
Slack us. Slack us. If you work, slack us. Oh my God. Yeah, thank you. Actually, please slack us if you listen to the story. All right. Thank you. All right. Goodbye, everyone.